right, we're back.
We're back.
Episode 2.
Camp4U 2023. 2022. 2022, Matt, like it just rhymed so good last year.
But we're 2023.
And it's back. And it's going to be, it's still free.
Still free.
Still free.
And what do we got going on today, Tonia?
We have Treasure Joe is back.
Nice.
He is going to talk about having a map and how important that is. And just, I don't know, it's going to be fun. We're going to learn some new things from Treasure Hunter Joe. And then I think Charlie's coming on and we're going to do a craft.
Nice. And if we're talking about maps, probably something about maps and a craft and making your own map or something like that.
Maybe.
Maps are fun.
Maps are fun. And maybe you're wondering why we're talking about maps at all, but our theme this year for summer camp is treasure hunters. And it is all about treasure hunting. And so it's going to be fun. There's going to be activities and things like that. But in chapels, we're going to be talking about how you and I and you guys are all God's greatest treasure, and that He is our treasure as well. So when we seek Him, we will find Him. When we seek Him with all our heart. That was last time's memory verse. So if you didn't do that one, you can do it. Check it out.
Yeah, make sure to send us videos of you doing the memory verse as well. Yeah. And then when you get here in the summer,
you'll be ahead of the game.
You'll be able to teach everybody else.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. But today, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, so I think we're excited. I don't know if you're excited. Let's do it. Let's get into it and see what Joe's got going on for us today.
Here we go.
Hello. I told you I was going to be back. Today, I have a question for you. What's one of the first things that you need before you go on a treasure hunt? You got it? That's right. You need a map. Specifically, a map that leads to your treasure. Because if you don't have that, you won't know where you are going. One time, I didn't have a map when I was hunting for treasure. Then, I ended up getting my toe stuck in the mud. I had to call the tow truck to pull me out. Do you get that one? It's a good one. Anyways, you may be wondering what information needs to be on your map. Well, it's pretty simple. You need the treasure's location, the trail that you're going to follow, and any obstacles that might be in your way. And if you don't know where your treasure is, this summer we're going to talk about the greatest treasure ever. Alright, well, I gotta get going. The tow truck needs me to pay the bill. Be back soon.
Craft time.
Hello, treasure hunters. It's Charlie, and today we are going to make a treasure map for our craft. And so before we get started on that, I'm going to let you know what we need. You need a piece of paper, and you can do it as big or little as you want. Some pens to kind of do our final outline. A pencil. I got a cool mechanical pencil. Those are always the best to have in school, but you can use a non-mechanical pencil too. And an eraser. But that's not all, because we want to give our map sort of that aged look. So we're going to have some paper towel. You might want some matches or a lighter and some adult supervision, but you don't have to do that step. I'll let you know when we get to it. And a bin or a bucket and some coffee or tea to make that aged look. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to take my piece of paper. I already did this step ahead of time so that when we get to drawing the map, my paper is not wet. But to really give that aged look, like I want, this is the one I did earlier, to have some of these like imperfect edges. And so I did use a match to like singe the sides. I learned that you should do this outside and to do it where there's less flammable stuff, because fire safety is important and we don't want to start a fire anywhere, which is also why we're going to have adult supervision. And like that makes sense. But if you do not want to use a match or a lighter, or you don't have an adult around, you can either leave it just as is, or you can kind of tear the edges to give it that imperfect look around the sides. Both will work just as well. The next step is you're going to take the paper and we're just going to crumple it up. Because who has seen a very nice looking map with perfectly straight pages? It's never been seen before. And so you can like unfold it or you can leave it crumpled for our next step. But before we get to putting our paper into like tea or coffee to give it that aged look, we're gonna just take our paper towel and we're gonna lay it out on the table. That way we don't drip all over the place. It just has to be big enough to hold your paper and not let it drip all over your counter. Or if you're doing it outside, which you could do all of this outside, you could just leave it. Because yeah, I did this probably like 2 hours ago. Totally dry, it's good to use. If you wanted to speed that up, you could lay it out in the sun, or you could take a hairdryer and blow dry it. So I have my coffee in a bin. I did add a little bit of water just to dilute the color a bit. And with tea, you're gonna wanna take a tea bag, put it in hot water, steep it, and then you're probably gonna, like, whether you're using coffee or tea, just let it cool down so that you're not gonna burn your hands at all. And so I just kind of put it in there, just sort of let it sit for a little bit, poke it around with my fingers, and then you have to be a little bit careful. You don't want to let it sit too long because like it will tear a lot easier. But if you're going to just tear your page instead of burning the edges, this is a good time to do it because it'll be really easy. So I'm just gonna lay it there with my paper towel, maybe, yeah, tear a corner off. But I'm gonna lay that to the side, let it dry because it's gonna be really hard to draw on otherwise. So the beauty about our map making today is that we can make it however we wanna look. What do I need to put on a real map? First is you wanna put a compass rose on it. Which you're probably like, what's a compass rose? When they teach you like north, south, east, west, the little thing that goes in the top corner is actually called a rose. I'm just going to use the end of my pen. I'm just gonna trace around it to get a nice circle. You can also grab a ruler if you are like wanting pristine straight lines, which sometimes I like to do. But you can also use like a box with a straight edge to draw your lines as well. So north has to be the top of the page. So I just did 4 lines. I'm gonna put my N at the top, my S for south at the bottom, east is on the right, and west is on the left. And then I also have looked up a couple of different ways that you could draw a rose. And one that I really liked is you just kind of around the circle, draw points onto the lines. So yeah, just draw the circle. I'm gonna draw a little bit of a larger circle around it. I had a different envisioning of what that was gonna look like, but I'm gonna leave it for now. So now for our map itself, if you have a place that you wanna make your map out of, but I think I'm just gonna stick to the lodge because camp is really big and that's a lot to draw onto this piece of paper. So first I'm gonna think about how there's the beach over here. We might only get part of the camp. We might not get all the camp. Yeah, there's the beach over on this side. Might make that a little bit smaller. And then we'll have Cross Hill over on this side, which I looked up some ideas. And for like mountains and hills, if you're gonna do like a really tall mountain, you wanna have like really distinct lines, and then you kind of like draw lines down from it to give that peak shape. But if you're doing more of like a hill or a ridge, which isn't quite as sharp, you do a little bit of a softer line and then softer lines coming off of it. So that's what we're gonna do for Cross Hill because it sort of goes around and then you like have where the cross is and then you come down and there's a wood pile. So we got the beach, we got Cross Hill. That's actually taking up a lot more of my map than what it does at camp. but we'll just have it as like a fantasy sort of camp. And then we'll draw the coastline. You can add some waves to make sure that you know that it is water. I actually saw a thing where it was like, draw like a whirlpool, and we don't actually get whirlpools at camp, but I think that could be fun to like add to it, where you just like draw a circle and then you sort of add lines in a spiral around it. So that if you were on a treasure hunting ship, you would know not to go that way because you do not want to get in a whirlpool. And then you just sort of add some shading kind of around the middle. And now we're gonna add sort of the different buildings to the camp. So down at the beach, probably should put the boathouse so that I know that that's where the boathouse is. But another great thing to add to your map is in like a corner, whether it's like the top opposite corner or on the bottom, is to add a legend, which then tells you of like, this is what a mountain looks like, this is a whirlpool, and you just make them like tiny miniature versions. And you also want to label things. So like the boathouse, I'm not gonna put on the legend because there's only gonna be one boathouse, but it's good to know that that's what this is. But we're gonna put a cabin circle in. But I'm gonna make the cabins look a little different from the boathouse, because otherwise you would think there's just a bunch of boathouses hanging out. I should add some grass because I put it onto my legend. And I think for the final touch that I'm gonna add to my map is I'm gonna put the giant swing on there. All right, I just finished putting my outline on it. I'll probably erase the pencil marks off of it. So if you come to camp, you'll have to take my map and see if you can find some treasure perhaps. But anyways, happy treasure hunting. I'll see you around.
Dude, I think I'm gonna use the hot air balloon.
Oh, look at this.
Whoa.
Thing. It's going all over the place.
Oh, hey,
There's a
hey.
house.
Hey,
Oh,
they're all back.
they're back.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still working on my map.
Nice. Yeah, I started on my map too. Charlie, so fun.
Oh.
What a cool craft, and we want to see your guys' craft. So send us pictures on socials or to our email info@sabc. So you can do what Charlie did, but also in the brochure, there's a little map. And Jordan's way ahead on mine. He's got it all mapped out already.
It's like pit stops, and it takes you all over the place. It's
Yeah.
treasure hunting journey.
So there's a cool little map in the brochure if you didn't get one, or you could make yourself a map. Charlie gave us a great craft for that.
Yeah, and we want to see what your maps look like. So send us pictures, videos of you doing them, and that's just awesome. We love to see you guys doing camp stuff at home. So
yeah, and so speaking of maps, what did you think of Joe's joke about his tow truck?
Tow truck.
I don't know how the tow truck's gonna find him because they don't have a map.
It would be a pretty small truck.
Oh, brother. Okay, well, before we start telling bad jokes,
I think we're wrapping up this episode, and we'll be back couple weeks or so, and
we'll see you for the next Camp4U.
Oh, and I think there's a melee going down.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Things are about to get next level. Next level.
All right, we'll see you then.